Hey, it's Dee from Twinflame Stories podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Here's how it works. Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify. With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor's totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hi, it's Dee from the Twinflame Stories podcast. Welcome. The Twinflame Stories podcast is a place where you can listen to stories from other Twin Flames and where you can share your own journey. If you'd like to share your own journey, please write to me at d@denisetaylor.me. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I'm a one-person production, so please understand it might take me time to respond. Please be sure, if you'd like to share your story on the podcast, that you change the names of people and places if you don't want those to be used publicly. I also have a community on Facebook that you can join called The Collective. The Collective is a group that offers daily divination, monthly energy clearings, a monthly live card reading session, and a personal one-card read each month. In addition, it's a platform to ask, receive, and lend a hand to other twins as they navigate their journey. You can find out more about the paid subscription to The Collective by visiting denisetaylor.me. The link will be in the show notes. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Good morning, everybody. This is Destarte, or you can just call me Dee. And this is week 2 of the Twinflame Stories podcast. I have been searching around for some twins to share their story with us, and I have a few that are looking at sharing that. So hopefully in the next podcast or two, we'll actually have a story for you to listen to. In the meantime, I know last week we had talked about clearing before and possibly after when we are around different energies. So I thought I would dive into that a little bit more. And then I thought maybe we'd cover some of the terms I had used in the last podcast, just in case you were unfamiliar with them. So when you're clearing, what we're looking at is your energy body and your physical body, including your mental body and the spiritual body. And if you could look at your aura that surround you, it's quite big, and there's different levels to it, and there's a lot of different parts. So when we're clearing, we've got the aura that we have to clean out on different levels, and we also have our energy centers, and we also have our gateways or chakras. So there's different areas to look at. We also have 2 main connections. One is to source energy, and the other one is grounding. So the source energy, they're like these connections we have, they're like hoses or like pipelines. Typically we'd view them as maybe say like the size of a hose. So all you have to do is imagine. So I know that sounds crazy to some. However, we were given imagination for a reason. And so if we can imagine those things, that brings it into our awareness from our subconscious mind to our conscious mind. And then we can ask for things to be done at that level. So if you just imagine that you have a pipeline or a hose or a cord that allows energy to flow from Source, the Creator, whatever you may call your Creator. If you imagine that, and imagine that you're repairing it, because often the cord will be cut. Energies can cut that cord and keep us from having full flow of energy from Source into our bodies. So if you imagine it getting repaired, and then once that's repaired and you can feel the flow of energy coming down from Source, you can take time to ask for it to be protected. You can ask your higher spiritual team, whoever jives for you, to protect that cord that's coming down. You will have to ask for protection more than once. It doesn't last a lifetime. And you'll have to do upgrades and repairs on a regular basis. It's just the way things work. It's kind of like taking a bath. When you take a bath or a shower, it doesn't last. You have to do it again. So it's kind of the same idea. The second thing that you're going to want to look at is your grounding cord. And it's the same. It goes actually from your root chakra down into earth and anchors you. And you're going to want to ask for the same thing, for it to be repaired and protected. And what this connection does is allows energies to flow. So when we get energies into our body, we don't want them to stop inside. We want them to fill up and continue on and release things that are not helping us, or energies that we may have sucked in that are not good for us. So we want to pass those on and send them down away from us. I'm just thinking about our cord that goes up to Creator. You want to know that that connects into your heart chakra. So that comes down into your heart chakra and fills you up at that level, just in case you were wondering where that goes. So once those two things are done, you could do it in any order that you please. You could ask for protection around you before things get cleared out. So you can ask your higher spiritual team, and also whoever your group of people are, or your group of deities. If you're Christian, you may want to use Christian ones. You may want to use Jesus and Mother Mary and archangels, etc. Or whatever you happen to be, if that's what feels comfortable for you. But it's always good to be open to other deities if that's something you can allow for yourself. However, if it's something that you just can't do and you don't want to do, you can just use your own spiritual realm of workers. So that's who you want to ask to come in. And most of us, at least I know I do, I have I don't want to say guardian angel, but like a guide. That would be a good word for it. A guide. I have a guide, and my twin has a guide. And you want to ask for your own personal guides to help you. And whoever else you feel like is on your spiritual team. How I imagine my spiritual team is like a higher realm of beings that know what they're doing, and they're surrounding me in a circle, sort of like above my head, if that makes sense. That's how I see it, but you could see it in any way that feels comfortable for you. And you can ask them to help you put up protection You can imagine different colors of protection. You can do a pink light that's just a few inches away from your body that comes from Christ. You can use a blue dome of protection that exists. And just imagine that enveloping yourself, or whatever happens to be the area that you need protecting. Perhaps it's your car, perhaps it's your home, perhaps it's your workplace, or just yourself, whatever feels right at that moment. Also, when you're clearing, if you are a twin, you can ask for your twin to come with you into your sacred space. So it's recommended to imagine a sacred space for you. Many will use a Merkaba. You can look that up if you're not sure what it is. It's a healing vessel. But many will use a Merkaba as their sacred space, or you may have some other sacred space that you want to use when you're imagining doing your clearing. And just ask for your twin to come with you into that space so you could do the clearing for you and also for your twin. So then once you have those things all set, then you can ask for the different levels of your aura to be cleansed. And if you can have your team come and remove anything that's attached to you. Sometimes we have extraterrestrial type of attachments. We can have dark energies attached. We can have other people attached. So if we have other people attached, we can ask for cords to be cut with those people, especially ones that might be tying us down. So you can ask for that. When you do cord cutting, you're going to want to ask for somebody who has a sword. So like Archangel Michael or Rama, those types. That's usually the ones that do the best at cutting cords. And cords can be attached to any place. They can be attached to auras. They can be attached to different spots in your body. Sometimes it may be like attached in at your solar plexus, or it could even be on one of your extremities somewhere. And you can just ask for those to be cut away. Sometimes people have the ability to visualize where those cords are actually at. And some healers are able to do that for other people. They can actually see where cords are attached. But you can simply just ask for those cords to be cut. Another good practice of once you've cleared is to ask to fill up with source energy. So visualize source energy to come down into your heart chakra and fill you up. This will allow you to stop feeling everything that's around you. What I mean by that is so many of us who are advanced are empath. And when you're an empath, you feel the energies that surround you. So say I think we've talked about this in the last podcast, but say you're walking in the grocery store and you pass somebody and they're swarmed with a rough energy, a difficult energy. As an empath, you can feel that coming from them, or many times it's people who are close to us, our family members, our children, our significant others, our parents, our siblings, our best friends. A lot of times we'll feel it from those people just because we're so physically close to them. So that is the basic idea of clearing. You can definitely look up different techniques and different sources. Jill and Remy do have a daily clearing that you can purchase on their website. And it's quite helpful if you want like an audio version to walk you through it. And I'm sure there's other sources out there too. Or you can just build your own practice and do it for yourself. Okay, so let's talk about some of the terms that we came across during the podcast last week. So one of the terms that I had used, of course, is twin flames. And we did talk about a little about what twin flames are. So we know twin flames are one energy body, one soul that's been divided into two pieces and occupies two different, most typically here on this realm, two different bodies. Sometimes a twin can be not incarnated while the other one is incarnated. However, for this purpose of being here in this realm, many of you are both incarnated. So we know that twins are attempting to physically come together. Of course, there's probably some that won't physically come together in this lifetime. However, I think in your heart you know what you're feeling, what your gut instinct was right away. Like if you met each other and that gut instinct of this person should be in my life or not. And I think it's important to listen to that. So twins are trying to come together physically. At least many of us are. And, you know, the purpose is to, like I had said in the last podcast, is to come together, bring that energy together to make it more powerful, to send love into the world. And definitely unconditional type of love. It doesn't follow a typical, at least many of us, it does not follow a typical meet somebody and ride off into the sunset type of thing. It can be very different. Okay, so that's the basics of twins. I know we kind of covered it last time, but I just wanted to make sure you guys had the idea. So then the other thing I had talked about were soulmates. So soulmates are nice and warm and yummy, and it's like eating some nice warm chocolate and being cozy in your comforter on a cold day and you don't want to get out of that comforter. That's what soulmates are like. They can challenge you also to some extent and bring things up for you to heal. However, the majority of their existence with you is going to be warm and yummy and lovely and fun. And you can definitely tell the difference between a soulmate and a twin. So there's quite a difference between those two. So if you imagine that if you have a relationship with somebody and it's warm and yummy, and there's nothing wrong with warm and yummy, it's just so you realize that person isn't your twin. That person is a soulmate. And soulmates, of course, just like twins, can be all kinds of relationships. You know, it could be a sibling or a friend. Sometimes they're even grandparents, or even sometimes strangers. We meet on the street and have this sudden attraction to them, and we know that we're connected somehow, more closely than other souls that are around us. So that's what soulmates are. So I'm sure you can imagine people in your life that take on that role. Soulmates, well, and other people also have contracts with you. Like you both, before you came into incarnation, made an agreement about how you could help each other. And decided, yes, this is what my role is going to be. This is, approximately how it will go down. This is what I'll do to try to help you, etc. Then we have another term that I had used, a soul catalyst. And a soul catalyst, in my case, because I am a twin, and I had no idea, but because I am, a soul catalyst for me was somebody who played the role very similar to what a twin would have been, and basically introduced me to all the basics that I needed to help me grow and expand and get ready for this twin relationship that was coming. In hindsight now, it's crazy to look at it. So the soul catalyst was sort of like a teacher and a preparer, and in a way like a soulmate a little bit, but a lot of triggering going on, because that's how learning happens. That's how you grow. A lot of mirroring, similar to twins. Literally everything I needed to know about twins began then, at that point, with that soul catalyst. So it's somebody who makes your soul grow and learn and get ready for what's coming. So that would be a soul catalyst. And I guess that's probably about all the terms that I have for today, that I wanted to touch base on. So the clearing and the couple terms, so that you knew how to, I don't want to say label people, but kind of know who's playing what role in your life, and kind of give you some direction on how the puzzle's fitting together. So let's talk a little bit about, how do I know if somebody is my twin? Well, it's different for everybody. There are definitely some people who are waiting to find their twin. They feel the twin is there somewhere. They do feel they are a twin. They just have not met their twin in the physical yet. And then there's the rest of us who have met somebody in the physical realm now at some point, and have had the relationship that twins have. So they've had the polarities, they've had mirroring. So the mirroring, like we had spoken about before, is where the twin, when the twin comes, it's like they're holding up a mirror to you so you can see yourself. But when they do it, you don't necessarily go, oh, this is me. Yes, a lot of times we think it's them. And we think the A, B, and C is what you do, and it drives me crazy. But really what they're doing is holding up a mirror and saying, listen, why do A, B, and C drive you crazy? That's your stuff that needs to be fixed. So that's what they do. And for me, one of my triggers, one of the things that he triggered for me was body image. I felt very insecure suddenly, where I had been feeling quite secure about my body for a couple years, and all of a sudden, when he came, when he lifted the mirror, it was just this intense, like, self-consciousness. And so I knew that was something that I still needed to work on to heal at a spiritual level, was this self-consciousness of not being everything I felt I should be. that somehow I was lacking. Another thing that got mirrored for me was the feeling of unworth. Like I was unworthy. And obviously that was why he kept leaving. In past lifetimes and now. Another thing that was mirrored for me was abandonment. So these are things that you may feel when they come to you and you think, why do I feel like this every time? Like every time I had the experience of him coming close, it felt like I was bracing myself, just absolutely bracing myself for the moment that he was going to go, when he was going to abandon me. So you may have the same sensation when your twin is close by, or you have a physical connection with them, or you've talked to them on the phone, or you've seen them in a parking lot somewhere, or they've sent you an email, or whatever it happens to be, something on social media, and you think, why every time that we're together, I feel this? I feel like he's going to abandon me, or I feel like she's going to be mean. Those are things inside of us that need to be healed. Okay, so that is one way, just a couple things that you may notice when you've met somebody, that you get this triggering, you get this mirroring happening. You may feel this very high feeling and a very low feeling. So when they're in your presence, you get this euphoria and you're like at the top of the world. Honestly, if you're anything into mental health, you may go, why am I having this episode of mania? Because it really does. The euphoria that you can feel is so intense and incredible. And you may have never felt so connected to somebody in all of your life, because you haven't. This is the person that you're going to feel the most connected to any time in your life, because they are you. And then when they're away from your presence, and most of the time I'd say that's when it happened for me, is when they were there and when they were away. But maybe perhaps some people experience the highs and lows even when the person is still present. However, the idea is that you have this low, where you might be crying and thinking, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel like this? And you're just an emotional basket case is a great way to explain it, where you're quite down and sad and you don't even really know why. There's no really reason to feel that way, but you get these lows, just very low. And the more the twins start to merge together, the wilder, if that's a word, the crazier those highs and lows will get, or they can get. So that's not uncommon for twins to experience that. Other things that you might experience with your twin, to kind of give you an idea that this is your twin. You may have a very clear communication between you without even speaking, like telepathic. You may hear them even though they're not saying anything, again, like on a telepathic level. When you close your eyes, they might be right there in your face all the time. That's quite common, is the twin is always in your presence. Even if they're not physically in your presence, they're always in your mind. You can try to push them away. You can try to do other things to get away from them. Some people may even revert to drugs or alcohol, or gambling or sex, or eating disorder, type of things to try to drown out what they're feeling. But the connection doesn't just go away. No matter how much of those things you're going to participate in, you may have a small amount of relief, or a temporary reprieve, but you're never going to be able to push them out by using that. You're not going to be able to push your twin out, period. It's just not going to happen. So it's best just to accept that you're a twin. I know some people think it's crazy to think, well, why, if you're a twin and you know you're a twin, why would you want to be anything else but a twin? Some of us have had experiences where it's very difficult, very dark at times, and sometimes we believe that if we could just not be a twin, we'd be better. We could go back to being our old selves. And some people don't feel that way at all. So just, warning about how it can come across. And also if you're feeling that urge, like you need to participate in some sort of substance to try to bury what you're feeling, I super encourage you to reach out to other twins. I encourage you to reach out to somebody just to listen to your story. We're definitely here for that. If you're feeling overwhelmed, and you just need a place to lament, you just need a place to cry, you need a place to say, this is way more than I ever thought it was going to be. How do I deal with it? That's why we're here. That's why we have this story base, is not only to learn from each other, but also so that we have a safe haven to go to and share our experience and be surrounded by other twins who are nodding their head, yes, I get it. Been there and I've done that. So if you're feeling those types of things and they're very overwhelming, you can reach out. So that's about what I'm going to share with you today. Hopefully that gives you a little insight into the different relationships that people play, and hopefully it gives you some insight into what does my twin look like? How do I know if that's my twin? It's not even close to everything that happens with twins, but it is some generalities that you could look at and go, yeah, that person's definitely playing that type of role. So I'm really hoping that by the next podcast, I will have a story to share with you. And again, if anybody is willing to share their story, or if any of you want to express how you're feeling currently about things, if you have questions, you can reach me at Twinflame author at Gmail. And we can plan on doing a face-to-face interview, or you can just simply write your story out, and I would be more than happy to share it here on the podcast and answer any questions that you guys have if I'm able to do that. And also if you guys have, sources of information that you find have been helpful for you, you can always share those too, and I'd be willing to share them here. So you guys have a super good week, and hang in there. If you're just starting out with your twin, I know it can be a rough road, or some of us have gotten into the journey a ways by a few years, and we're still struggling to come together physically. I just want to encourage you that it's okay. We're doing a good job. Keep it up. I know we're not together and it's painful sometimes, maybe a lot of the times, but you're doing a good job. You're helping this world out way more than you could ever imagine, and we are grateful for your service. We are so grateful for your service. So have a super great week, everyone, and we will talk some more next week.